everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hello,
Hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving. Definitely see lots of familiar faces. I see Vicky. Vicky, hello, how are you? Where are you from? Hi, Latanya. Okay. We are going to get started because there's actually a lot to cover today. So if you don't have a pen or paper, definitely grab it because you're probably going to want to take some notes. It's a giving season. And so anyone that stays till the end, we're going to put your name in a randomizer. I'm going to do it live and you will, oh yes, Rochester, welcome. Potentially win my strategic business planning course. And so we actually had the 5th class today, and the 6th one will be next Thursday, which will be right before this class. You don't have to attend it live. We record everything, but it's actually inside of my coaching community. So it's really great to kind of see what goes on behind the scenes and, you know, our conversations and such. So you can attend that class live if you would like. Otherwise, you'll have access to the recordings for all of these sessions, all of the documents that include, it has a Google spreadsheet to get organized. All the calculations are done for you. There's a monthly expense report, a monthly MAR, which is monthly analysis report on your deals, where they came from. I like to keep things simple, okay? So it's just a really simple planning. And then a huge packet of like how to plan for your new year. So pretty cool stuff. I like to make these weekly power hours conversational. So if you have questions, please post in the chat and I will stop and answer those. I'd rather get your questions answered. If you're anything like me, you'll forget. And we don't want that, right? So, excuse me, we have today, and then we have next week. And then 2 weeks from now is our last weekly power hour for the year. And it's a big one. So I think most of you are scheduled or registered to attend. Again, giving season, lots of stuff coming up. So I'm very excited about this. It's something I've never done before. And so, yeah, don't miss it. All right, I'm going to share my screen and go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions, post it in the chat. So I really wanted to, I taught this class in another group. I'm a big believer on like making sure your life is balanced, okay? Maybe you'll like this, maybe you're just here because you want to get, you know, the free course, but I think this is so important. And it's something that I did not implement for so many years. And I'm so glad that I did a while back because like I'm happy now. You know, we all have our moments, right? But it's really important to balance, you know, have a good balance between family and work and whatever else you have going on. So I'm just going to share like kind of how I got there. I'm going to give you a sample schedule for myself. So that's why I said you probably want to take notes, okay? All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Creating your perfect schedule. Like, look, nothing's perfect, right? But I do feel like my schedule is perfect for me. So what I do isn't going to necessarily be something you want to do, but I've been through it all. So just take the notes and figure out what's going to work best for you. We'll talk about your ideal niche, like, you know, maybe short sales is not your niche. How do you kind of really pick that, okay? And then developing a roadmap for your success. All right. Like I said, it is the giving season. So make sure you stay till the end, okay? And we'll announce that. I actually have a randomizer. We're going to put your names in here and we are going to pick a number and randomize it. And then I'll connect with that person after. So we'll stay just for a minute or two after and I will get you all squared away. Okay. Number one, create your perfect schedule. Anyone right now have a schedule that they absolutely love, or is that something that they're like, oh my gosh, I really need help? And inside of that schedule is like really time management. I'm so good with my time and I would love to share. So ask me any questions, okay? You know, about schedules, time management. I just love it. I pack so much into my day. Now look, sometimes my brain's like, blah, 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 and it's all over the place. And so I don't get everything done. Look, we all have those days, right? But my day is pretty much the same every day. So what are some steps that can help you? So let me move this in my way. All right. So steps to help you. Number one, we want to audit your time. Okay. So how do you do that? Well, you got to take the time to track. Okay. You're going to track your current time usage. Just do it for a week. So it's Thursday. I would probably start Monday if I were you, and just track everything you do when you wake up. Like, and you're going to laugh at some of the things I do, like with my schedule. Okay. So just track it all. Okay. And I'm not talking about like, when you go to the bathroom or anything like that. Just like what you do, you wake up this time. Okay. Even when you like eat breakfast, like those things are so important. Okay. And then once you do that for a whole week, it's an eye opener. Okay. Because you're going to figure out, when do you have the most energy? And that's important, especially when you go to pick a niche, right? So if you have no energy in the evenings, maybe being a buyer's agent is not something that's going to be good for you. So identify your peak energy hours. For me, I love mornings. By the time I go pick up my kids at 3, I'm like, yeah, nope, I'm done. um, and then you want to note family commitments and your non-negotiables. Anyone have a non-negotiable that they would like to share? I'm going to move you back over here. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, so I have a to-do list, and I use, I'm still old school in some sense, but I like to print off my to-do list every Monday morning, and right now I'm using green and red Sharpies, and on this has family and business. Okay. So I just kind of combined it all. And I can show you my Google Calendar if you'd like at the end as well. Just remind me. Okay. So then you want to note family commitments and your non-negotiables. So let's talk about that. Do you have a non-negotiable? What is yours? Like, there's some people that came on in my first class of this and said, yeah, my non-negotiable is waking up and, reading the Bible or doing some sort of reading or, meditating something. If that is your non-negotiable, great. For me, my non-negotiable is I work out 5 days a week, and I have a specific routine around that. That is what keeps me sane. Okay. So if I do not do that, I'm not the best person. Okay. So that is my non-negotiable. I do all of that. Work can wait. Non-negotiables are just that, non-negotiables. Everything else can wait. And then I note my family commitment. So for me, I'm heavily involved with my kids at theater, and that's typically on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, depending on what season we're in. And so I know that working past 3 on those days, that's not going to happen. Family first, right? So make sure you're figuring all of that out. Okay. And then you want to document your real estate activities and the time spent on that. So for example, if you're working on a Facebook group, how long did you spend on that each day? Like, just track it the best that you can. Okay. All right. Questions on auditing your time. Okay. Let's move on.
So Heather, I do have a question.
Okay.
And it may be something that you're going to touch on later, but as a dual career agent, there's a lot, because I have a 9 to 5. So a lot of the commitments I have, I try to schedule around that. But what would you give as advice, for someone in my situation that, you have that 9 to 5, but you also want to stay organized within your real estate business as well. Like, how would you work around something like that?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a sample schedule of mine it's actually the next slide. So I would just take my sample and adjust it. So I know you work 9 to 5, so is there something that you could do in the morning? Then do it, even if it's like something really small. I don't know, maybe it's like, for example, if we send out letters once a week, right? To families. So maybe you would check the status of the leads in the morning. Okay. And then you would just have to adjust where you're going to be working after 5, which is going to be a lot. And so I do feel like there's a lot of dual career people that end up failing because it is so hard. It is so much work. You're tired after a long day, but you have to remember to just do it. The ultimate goal here is for you to do real estate full time, I'm guessing. And so I would get up extra early. So, maybe you got to get up at 5 a.m. and, do your morning routine or whatever, and then spend 1 hour on your business before you do your 9 to 5, and then spend another hour right after dinner. But you do want to make sure you have that downtime as well, because otherwise you are going to get burnt out. And then you have the weekends. So for me, I don't work on the weekends. Like, it's just no for me. But dual career, yeah, you're going to have to suck it up and do that until it's your time to, leave your corporate job. But yeah, I'll touch more on that in the sample schedule. It's a question I get all of the time. Let me not get into that. I'll touch on it in a minute, okay? All right. Okay, so analyze your schedule. So once you do that, and remember, do it for like a week. And I do feel like it's a little bit hard this time of year. Schedules are crazy, right? It's December, it's end of year. You got this and this and that, not normal activities, just a bunch of, holiday stuff, Christmas concerts, all that. But do the best you can. Okay, so then you want to determine which activities are going to generate the most business for you. So for me, it's making sure my team is getting those letters out every single week. Direct mail marketing is not dead. It is very much alive. But where agents fail is they are not consistent, or they'll send it out for a month and they're not getting any calls, so they'll stop. No. The way that you want to do that is just analyze it every year, or take that back. I analyze everything on the first of each month. Okay. At the end of the year, which is happening right now, I then am able to determine, is my direct mail marketing still an activity that's generating revenue? Yes, it is. It's always been my number 2, but it's important to track all of that, right? So maybe you're like, okay, well, I want to get my Facebook group going, and, implement, combine that with real estate, and I have to dedicate that time. Well, you're going to have to take some time for trial and error. So like right now, I know that my number 1 lead source is my relationships with attorneys, and my number 2 is direct mail marketing. Well, next year I have something new. I'll be able to track it for a year. And then at the end of the year, I'll be able to determine which activity, is this activity generating revenue for me that is worth my time? Time is key, right? Oh, that moves us on to the next one. Identify time wasting activities, okay? If you're sitting there tinkering on Instagram all day, that's not going to bring you any money, right? You got to get focused, stay focused. So for me, and I say this a lot, like most of the things, it's a no for me. If it's not going to help my family or my business, it's a no, okay? And it took me a long time to really get focused on that. But I want to just get my work done and then go do family stuff or whatever that I need to do, my volunteer, whatever. So just, time is money. So make sure your time is being well spent. If it's not, and now's the time to reflect on all of this, is my time doing this going to benefit me personally or in my business? If it's a no, get rid of it. For me, it's mapping out my children's schedule. And we'll talk more about that in my sample schedule. But if you do have kids or maybe grandkids that you help with or whatever, they're important. They're number 1, right? So you absolutely can be in real estate and work around your kids' schedule. And then the last one is, do you have availability for support? And that's a big thing, because what if a child's sick, or, you got caught up at a meeting and it was late, or if there was traffic or whatever. So who can you put down as like, someone that's available for any support? So like for us, we have no family here. Not one single person lives in our, Illinois where we're at. Okay. So it's just me and my husband. Now I do have a couple of friends that would absolutely help if we needed it, but my husband has his own business. So he's pretty supportive and will drop anything if he can to come help or whatever. So that's really important to understand as well, because look, no schedule is perfect. You're going to get off schedule. Things are going to come up, but always remember you got to go back to your schedule. Okay. All right. Questions on that? I know sometimes I ramble on, but I get excited. Everyone around listening? I can see you, Latanya. Okay. All right, let's move on to my sample schedule. So everyone always asks, what does your schedule look like, Heather? So this is when the kids are like essentially in school, okay? When it's summer, they sleep really late. They get up, take their time, do some chores, and by the time they get all that done, I'm essentially done with work. So this schedule is a flexible schedule, okay? It does change, depending on summer and all that. But I get up at 6 o'clock every single day, even on the weekends. Okay. Why? I like my quiet time. Okay. So during the school week, so Monday through Friday, I get up at 6. From 6 to 6:40, I get out of bed. I go down, I pour my cup of coffee, and then I go sit on the couch and I check my Facebook memories because, it's so crazy to see how the kids grow up so fast. Okay. So I check my Facebook memories and then I play Wordle. Okay. Then I just kind of just sit there in the quiet and sip my coffee. It's not a lot of time. It's about 40 minutes, right? Probably less by the time I get my coffee and sit down. But that is like my morning routine. That's just something that I do. I like it. I like playing that game. So make sure you incorporate always something, for yourself as well. I get around 8 hours of sleep. So I like to make sure that I'm definitely sleeping by 10. So sleep is so, so crucial. If you don't get enough sleep, everything's going to go wrong. Okay. So try if you can, they say 7 to 9 hours of sleep. At 7:30, we leave to go to school. And so by the time I pull into the parking garage, drop them off and drive home, I get home like just before 8 or so. Okay. School's not that far away. So from 8 to 9:30, now this is essentially my non-negotiable. Could I come home and go straight to my desk? Yeah, I could, but that's not going to be good for Heather and her self-care. Okay. So I go downstairs and I work out. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no Thursday. And I designed that because on Thursdays, it's my busiest day for Zooms. I have my coaching call before this one, and then I have this one with you guys. So I did it that way for a reason. And then I don't do Sunday. So Sunday, I pretty much try to prep for the week and we go to church. So I do my workout. It's usually about 45 minutes to an hour. Take a shower or do whatever. And I have breakfast. I'm at my desk around 9:30. Okay. Breakfast, non-negotiable. I essentially eat the same thing every single day. Super healthy, protein packed, all that. Okay. So from 9:30 till 3, that is when I get all of my work done. Now, it may sound like not enough time. It is if you're good with your time management. So during that time, that's when I have like my to-do list, okay? Super simple. Let me show you my calendar. So I don't everyone's surprised when they see my calendar. I don't color coordinate anything. It all goes in here. This is personal and business. Like next week is ice cream day at the kids' school. All of that goes in there, okay? So the way that I do it is it all goes in here because then I can see it on my phone. But throughout the weekend and on Monday morning, I will print my to-do list. So I will take my to-do list. So I will open this up. So I open this up and I copy and paste it into my to-do list for Wednesday. Okay. So then I have I have a to-do list going. And I don't always get everything done on my to-do list every single day. Sometimes it moves into the next day, but this is what keeps me sane and organized. Now, my husband hates to-do list. It just is all in his brain. I don't know how he operates like he does, but he doesn't know how I operate like I do, right? So you have to figure out what's going to be best for you. Whether you have ADD or ADHD, you can still be organized in your own way, okay? I am not, but my husband is, so I understand the process. It's starting to slow down because my kids get out of school this day, and then we're home for a week, and then we travel. So there's nothing obviously going on during this time. Okay, but then there's each day I have specific things that I'm doing. Okay. So also during that time, so I either have my Zooms. I do Zooms on Tuesday and Thursday. So if I do have listing appointments, I don't take on buyers. If I have listing appointments, they are usually done during that daytime. How is that possible? It's possible because I'm dealing with distressed homeowners. Some of them have jobs, some of them don't, but they are so willing to work around your schedule because they want help. Okay. If someone does have like a 9 to 5 job, I won't take an evening appointment. I'll do it first thing Saturday morning. Okay. And also during that time, I'll have a lot of help. So I delegate out a lot of tasks. So I'll check on, my design coordinator, my transaction coordinator. I know that like on Wednesdays, she pulls our leads. So there's still a lot of stuff going on during the day, but as you start to get busier, you can learn to delegate those tasks out. At 3:15, I pick up for school, or I volunteer at theater. And then, oh yes, I did put in that. Here we go. So yeah, include Zoom calls, listings, follow-up, any calls, leads that I have to call. Okay. Then after school, if I have to follow up on anything, I will. Otherwise, I really stay focused on the kids. I clean up, try to get family dinner going, anything related to school, and then we get ready for bed. So that's a sample schedule. Again, flexible. Any questions on that, or maybe something for yourself? Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, so identifying your ideal niche. So you may like what I'm about ready to say, maybe you don't. I do think a lot of agents tend to take on way, way too much. I never thought that until I started this coaching community a few years ago. Yeah, don't be all over the place. What does Latanya want? What does Vicky want? What does Ed want? What does Melanie want? Figure out what you want. And that's going to be best for you and your future and your family. Not, oh, take this class and try to get into for sale by owner or whatever. Yes, I teach short sales and I love my community and I'm darn good at what I do. But, if short sales isn't your thing, totally fine. Just figure out what it is. Okay. All right, let's move on. So how do you pick a niche? I would understand, your market area. Okay. So dive in deeper with your local market. Is there a lot of people handling probate? Is there a lot of people that are doing first time home buyers? Obviously the niche that you pick is going to correlate with like your schedule. So like Latanya, she works a 9 to 5. So she's going to have to pick something at least to get going that could be in the evening and on the weekends, right? I don't like buyers is not a niche of mine because I don't want to work on the weekends. I'm very clear with my clients up front. I highly recommend, like, obviously, I would love anyone who has a big heart like I do to take on the niche of short sales. If you do, look in your market, see who's doing short sales. People say they're doing short sales. but they're not, or they may have done one or two and saying that they're experts. Like, look into that, okay? And then you want to analyze your, your competition. So like I don't really feel like there's much competition here because I'm confident in what I'm doing with the homeowners that are in, a pre-foreclosure and auction status. But, you got to understand your market, dive in, figure out who's doing what, and pick something that, someone isn't doing, or, everyone's doing traditional sales. Everyone does buyers. You got to be different. You got to stand out. All right. Let's move on to number 9. Oh, number 10, sorry. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. All right. And then what are your personal strengths? Okay. So consider your strengths and weaknesses. I would make a list. What are you good at? What are you not good at? Right. And then you really do want to match your skills with market needs. So if you're like, yeah, I don't want to shuffle. Yeah, Heather, I know you tell us to go do short sales, but I don't want to do all the paperwork. And, that's okay. There is a lot of paperwork involved. But once you get consistent with that, you could eventually delegate that task out. So remember, not everything is always forever. As you get busier, you have to learn to build a team, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be other agents. It could be other people, like a transaction coordinator, or like I have a design coordinator, okay? So just consider your strengths and weaknesses. Is your strength organization already? Then yeah, you're probably going to love the niche of distress sales. Or we would be like best friends because I love organization. But figure out, match the skills. So match all these with what is needed in your market. Okay. And then evaluate your existing network. So if you've been in real estate for a while, like, who is in your network? So I don't have a big network. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, Heather probably has this big old network. No, I try to keep my circle small. So I have probably a dozen attorneys that I work with, but probably only half of that I really, really work with. And the other half I really haven't done much with because they don't really have anything to give me because of the way the market is. Their business is just a little bit different from the attorneys that do give me, leads. So I really keep I'm a big believer in quality over quantity, and I like to have only a handful of good attorney relationships. I also have, a design coordinator that can do everything for me. And what else do I have? I have a runner. I do have someone that will take on buyers if I want. So that's important to note as well. Any questions on that? You guys are quiet today. Okay, number 3. Excuse me. Now, after all of that, you can select your niche, okay? So, how do you do that? Well, the time requirements versus family commitment. So if you don't have any help in the evenings with kids, then buyers may not be a good option for you, right? If you're looking for a niche where you got to work during your the kids' school schedule, don't pick buyers, right? Unless you can have someone to watch them over the weekend. Growth opportunities, obviously those are important. Can you grow within the niche that you're considering? So let me give you an example. I've never marketed to buyers or sellers. I've only marketed to distressed sales, but because of the relationships I've built and the families that I've helped, they've given me business down the road. So sometimes that is a buyer. If it does come from a past client like that, I will take that on. Or I've gotten traditional listings. I had 2 closings in November, and one was from a client that I did a short sale with like 12 years ago. And the other one came from a postcard that called a couple months ago. And big thing is the work-life balance, okay? You don't want to get burnt out in this business. So many people do. Learn to step away from the work and go do family stuff, do self-care stuff. Okay, really, really important. Okay, so let's talk about implementing your success. What does that look like? So systems are pretty important. So create those daily and weekly routines. So again, like for me, daily is the non-negotiables. Weekly, we have any deals that we're getting ready to close that are pending. We'll get updates on financing. We communicate a lot with all parties. So important. We also pull leads and we send out letters once a week. So we have all of these daily and weekly routines. I also have a monthly routine. On the first of each month, I go in, I pay my IRS taxes, I pay my state of Illinois taxes, I pay my transaction coordinator, I pay any business bills, I analyze my previous month, what came in, what went out. Okay. And that's a lot that you'll learn in the strategic business class that I'm going to random off later. Any automation? Excuse me. So for example, maybe you have a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, happy to connect you with Perfect Storm. They're great. But you could automatically send emails. Okay. So I have a lot of automation set up, but I'm also, it took a long time to do that. You don't necessarily need automation right now, depending, but I do think it's good to stay in contact with, past clients and have that CRM. Okay. And then this is important. Develop a backup plan for emergencies. So like for us, we don't have any family here, right? But I know my husband is very supportive because he has a business. And so he has employees that he can, say, hey, stay, I got to go help Heather. So if the kids are sick or maybe there's an accident that you're stuck at or whatever the case may be, there's so many different types of emergencies. You got to make sure there's a backup plan because what you don't want to happen is for you to like get all flustered and then you can't get back to your normal routine, right? It happens. Okay. Support. So I probably should put this one up first. Make sure you have a dedicated workspace. So this is my office. You guys only see like a small bit every single week, but I love it. This is my space. I come here and work. When I'm done, the doors get shut and I leave it behind. Okay. I work from home. I prefer to work from home. I don't want to go into an office. That's just my personal preference. If you like going into an office, have a dedicated space at your office, right? But make sure you have that all set up. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just have your stuff there and get to work, right? It can always be changed over time. Number two, like I said, I should flip-flop these, build that network. So whatever niche it may be, go to different networking events. For the first few years of us being in short sales in this niche, we just networked all of the time. We went to different events. I try to build relationships with attorneys. I don't have to do this as much anymore, but it's going to be really, really beneficial to your business to do this now. Do it for a couple of years or do it for a year and test it out, right? So if your niche is probate, well, you probably want to go to an event with probate attorneys, right? If it is short sales, find bankruptcy, foreclosure defense, divorce, probate, all of those attorneys could be it, right? Buyers, you could go to meet, lenders and that sort of thing. Find a lender that doesn't have a connection yet with an agent. It happens, they're still out there. But you do want to build your network. Real estate is a people business, and I say this all of the time, but you have to build that network around you. You can't do it alone. All right, and then you want to track your progress, okay? So one of the things that you'll get in that business planning course is every single month, you'll analyze your deals, and then you'll also understand what is coming in and what is going out. I'm blown away by agents who don't run their business this way. Like you have to know what's coming in and what's going out. And those first couple of years, you could have a lot of stuff going out, but nothing coming in. then you're probably not gonna have a tax bill, but you have to spend money to make money. That is the bottom line. When I started, I was broke, so broke, okay? But we had a credit card and we just knew if we were consistent and we dedicated it and we believed in ourselves that we were going to make it work. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but you do have to spend money in your business in order to make it work and to grow. So just set those goals. So right now I'm trying to set all my goals for 2025. And then schedule a regular plan review. So that is what I do monthly on the first of every month. So I just did it Sunday. Sunday was December 1st. So I took some time and did all of that. And you can adjust your goals and your strategies as needed. So that's important too. If you're not gonna, it's okay to change. It's okay to adjust those goals. It's okay to adjust your business, adapt to, new things that come in the industry, but definitely track your progress. Okay. All right. Any questions? Hey, Melanie, awesome question. So she says, in my area, there are properties with auction dates. This is a niche that I would like to focus on. Which networking events would you recommend? Okay, so I number one, and I know you're scheduled, I recommend coming to the event we have in 2 weeks, okay? Auctions have been my number 2 lead source. I still market to auctions. And we have inside of the coaching community, we had the best collaboration session on Tuesday. I mean, it was like, and we have a lot of families that have an auction are in denial. We have never seen the denial so severe before. And so as a community, we've been trying to figure out how do we get past that denial? And we have created a new piece that you can either send alone or you can send it with the letters that we send out or the postcards that hopefully will help homeowners get past that denial. So definitely come to that. But as far as networking events go, I think the biggest person to have on your team if you're going to focus on auctions is a bankruptcy attorney. The reason why is because if someone calls you with an auction date, they could potentially file a bankruptcy to temporarily stop that date. It's very complicated and there's a lot of moving parts. But we do talk a little bit about this in the coming 2 weeks. 2 weeks isn't a long time. I would say just hold off, but building those relationships with those bankruptcy attorneys are going to be key because they have the clientele that you would like to work with. Okay. But I would consider any networking events that have attorneys like bankruptcy. You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions? Looks like Vicky logged off. So, all right, I think all of you are registered. I'm just going to check. So we have Latanya, Ed, and Melody. Let me just make sure. I think you guys are good to go, though. Okay, let's see here. Ed. Okay, wait a minute. Melody, yes. Ed, yes. Latanya, I'm pretty sure you're on this list. I don't see you, though. I don't think you're registered, Latanya. Did you register?
Almost positive I did. Yeah, I thought I did.
Okay, so I don't see you on here. So I'm just going to post a link.
Okay.
I know you emailed me this morning, so I'll email it to you as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see you on here, so we'll just post it. And oops, not a V. So there it is. You don't have to register again. You will start usually about 24 hours before you'll start getting emails and texts, just a reminder. We'll probably start right at 11:30. Just, there's a lot to cover. So, Latanya, I'll email that to you because I know you're driving. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. All right, so is there any other questions before I random the winner?
Yes, one more question.
Okay.
So when you're talking about like, because I'm like lumping it all together, like distressed homes, foreclosed properties, auction, and short sales. Like, should I just focus on one niche, or because this is kind of all new to me. I've always stayed away from, excuse me, that's my child crying. I've always stayed away from short sales, as a realtor. Um, so yeah, so this is like a niche that I want to focus on now, but I don't know, which to choose from.
Yeah, so I think we've searched your area before, and if I
Yeah,
remember right, there
and
is
that's where I got the auction.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I always highly suggest if someone's getting in the niche of short sales to start with the auctions.
Okay.
It's complicated, so you may want to consider being a part of the community just because like there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of learning, curves and stuff. But we'll talk
Right.
more about that in 2 weeks. But I suggest the auctions because one, these
Mhm.
families are at the end of the foreclosure process, so they really need our help
Right.
like yesterday. So they're
Hmm.
more likely to do something versus the people that are in a pre-foreclosure status.
Understood. Okay.
Number two, we have really highly effective marketing pieces to get in front of them. And
Hmm.
so the new thing that's being created as of Tuesday, it's a flow chart. And so this flow chart that we're creating is essentially going to help families that are everyone's in denial. Everyone wants to keep their home. But guess what?
Right.
May not be able to keep your home. So here's a flow chart explaining that. No one else is sending something like that. And so,
Hmm.
yes to auctions. What we don't want to happen, Melanie, is that you get overwhelmed and you just start doing it all. Focus solely on the auctions, get consistent with that, and also try to build those relationships with attorneys. If you can do that consistently for like a year, or forever really, but it takes time to get consistent, you're going to be good. It'll be good to go.
Okay.
I could just send the letters that I send weekly and have my attorney relationships and be totally fine. But usually every year I do try something different. And if it works out, then I keep it. If it doesn't, then I try something else.
Right. So I guess my fear is like, how do you even, get close to these attorneys? But yeah, I definitely the networking events and things like that. But yeah, that kind of scares me. I'm like, how?
I would start with the letters, but here's the thing. In
Hmm.
my coaching community, I tell everyone to start with the letters, but you got to build those relationships with attorneys because guess what? When
True.
you
Yeah.
call me or you post in the group that you need someone that, wants to file a bankruptcy, well, I told you to start building those relationships, right? So,
Right. Right. Right.
um, I think without giving away anything, I
Hmm.
completely, anyways, like we will talk about building those uh attorney relationships and the things that you can give them in order to build those relationships. We'll talk about
Okay.
because you can't just go build a relationship without anything, right? We want to go
Right.
about
Right.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we want to go about it is how, Mr. Attorney, partner with me, Melanie, because I can help your firm add value for your clients and profits. And so there's a way to go about it. It's a very unique
Hmm.
way. It's something that I've done for a very long time. Um, so anyways, yeah, definitely be
Okay.
here in 2 weeks because we'll touch on all that.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm registered, so I'll definitely be there. All
Awesome. Okay, so I'm
right.
gonna put your guys' names in here. Okay. Someone in the chat post number 1 through 10. 7. Okay, Melanie got it. Okay, so 7. All right, so basically what I'm going to do, and I've done this live. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. This is a randomizer. So we put in the names and then we are going to randomize it 7 times. And then on the 7th time, whoever's at the top will end the session and just stay on for a couple minutes and I will get you access to everything, okay? Okay, so there's 3 items in the list, 3 of you, okay? So that was, where does it say? Okay, again. It said, okay, so see down here, it says 2 times. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this, whoever is at the top, I love this, it's so much fun. Whoever's at the top, okay, you'll get the course. Yeah, Latanya, yay! That's funny because you were at the top on 6. I've had that happen before. Okay, so Latanya, very excited for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So just stay on for a minute if you can. Ed and Melanie, be on the lookout because next week is essentially like our last weekly power hour. Yes, 2 weeks from now is like basically our power hour on steroids. So I do plan to give away something else next week as well. It's a giving season, right? So feel free to reach out anytime. Otherwise, I will hopefully see you next week, but definitely see you in 2 weeks.